Turn now to the ongoing conversation about crime in our region, particularly juvenile crime in the state of Maryland. Governor Wes Moore this past week announced a new juvenile justice bill. It's called the Accountability, Rehabilitation, and Collaboration Bill. This is a result of ongoing concerns about the spate of juvenile crime in our area and the prevalence of young people and a lot of the crime spikes we have seen throughout Maryland. This has been an ongoing concern. Governor Moore said this is his #1 priority. It lowers the age to prosecute violent crimes from 13 down to 10 years old. Maryland State Senator Will Smith joins us live this morning to talk more about this bill. You are leading this effort, Senator. Thanks for being with us this morning. When Maryland's Democrats 2 years ago looked to reform the system, some changes were made. State's attorneys told us that those changes made it harder for them to do their jobs because they were unaware sometimes of the criminal history of some of these juveniles. What does this fix, and what went wrong with those reforms from 2 years ago?
Sure. First, I want to just thank you for having me, and good morning. First, I want to focus on just the comprehensive approach that we're taking here. It's the piece of legislation. It does legislation, you've got administrative action, and then you've also got some budget language that we're going to be using to help. So it's, you talked about this, it's focused on accountability, rehabilitation, and collaboration. The legislation that we have before us is really an enhancement on what we passed 2 years ago. And we were warned, yes, and I think the reforms we put in place will make us a safer place and will make for a better and more equitable justice system. There are certain instances in which things aren't working the way we thought they were going to work. And the level of services provided and the speed and access to the services that are furnished to the youths that are involved in the justice system hasn't happened like we wanted and like we thought it would. And so we come back every year for a 90-day legislative session, and this is a bill that's used to really sharpen our intentions and focus on enhancing the system.
You and I talked in Annapolis about this week, the day it was announced. And one of the things that we had seen from some of the studies that have been done on juvenile justice is that some of these kids feel emboldened that they can do whatever they want because they've told people doing these surveys that they know that they're not going to get maximum penalties, and there's really not going to be the hammer coming down in terms of punishment. What does this change to send a message to young people that you can't do these things? You can't stick guns in people's faces, and you can't go out carjacking people?
Sure. When I opened up with my remarks, I said that the juvenile justice system is focused on accountability and rehabilitation with a heavy emphasis on rehabilitation. We have to make sure that the youth that are involved in the justice system have the ability to get the services and the supports they need, and they're also held accountable. So we think that the changes that we made in this legislative proposal will do just that. You talked a little bit about that, expanding probation times for youths involved in the system, lowering the age for certain offenses like the firearms offenses and like car auto theft. Those things are significant and require more support and more accountability.
A big component of this is something that doesn't get talked about as much, and that's the Department of Juvenile Services. In Maryland, there have been complaints over the last couple of years of a lack of communication between the Department of Juvenile Services and state's attorneys' offices. There are walls that are built up in the words of protecting children and taking care of children and making sure that their privacy doesn't get violated, and that has put some state's attorneys and prosecutors at a disadvantage in dealing with this. Are those walls being brought down so at least law enforcement knows what they're dealing with when they get a kid that may have committed a carjacking and turns out they've done 7?
That's right. So a key component of this legislation is to require notification for the state's attorneys when there's a youth brought to a DJS intake officer for a violent felony or for any felony. So, for instance, car theft is not considered to be a violent crime under our statute, but it's serious and significant. And if it's happened over and over again, the state's attorneys need to know that. So we need to break down those silos of miscommunication or no communication. And that's what part of this bill does, is it requires that report to be given to the state's attorneys and that they get notice when a child has been brought to an intake officer for such an offense.
The governor says he does not want to tolerate lawlessness amongst young people in Maryland. Does this bill achieve that goal?
I think it does, but more importantly, it puts accountability not only on the youth, but on the adults that are responsible for supervising. So, again, the Department of Juvenile Services is held accountable. We create a commission that's providing oversight. We put together experts throughout the continuum of child care, from education to rehabilitation. We've given the Attorney General's office the ability to evaluate programming as well and report back to the General Assembly. So not only the legislation, the administration, but then also budget.
It's an important bill. Before we leave you, you are a state senator from Maryland's largest jurisdiction of Montgomery County. I have to ask you about some of the developments this past week in the schools. Dr. Monifa McKnight leaving as superintendent now. There has been this controversy over how that school district has handled a sexual harassment investigation now. Some members of the Maryland General Assembly now have criticized the Board of Education for having Dr. McKnight removed. What is your view on this? Have they done the right thing here, or do we need more answers, not only about how much severance she's getting, but how she handled herself during that investigation?
Well, this has not been a transparent process. I'll put it there first. So we need to know more. I've known Dr. McKnight for a while, and she got us through some very tough times during the pandemic, and closing some achievement gaps and making sure we got through on that. She's rendered some valuable service to us. I wish her the best, but there's more transparency that needs to be done. I don't know the answers to all those questions, and so I would be uncomfortable commenting. Obviously, that's a decision within the purview of the school board and the county council and the county executive, but more to come on it.
State Senator Will Smith, we appreciate you joining us live in studio this morning.